So hello everyone. No, it's been a long time since the last live. So hey Raj, hey. So how are you guys doing? You're cognizant on whatever work maybe that you are involved in. Hey Jeevan, hi. Internship is going on. Okay. Currently working as an intern at Cognizant. Great, great. So how is the experience like? Do you like it or no? No, they are switching to something different. No, from last year maybe. They are planning to do something internally so that you get a best experience from what we had. So not sure like what is the experience that you are having this time. So what are you guys learning, like what is the platform that you are going to be working on, and do you know any stuff with that part? Okay, Karthik, after completing internship in AMD domain, will there be an interview? So last year we had an interview. Like you have to do an individual project and you have to submit it, and then there will be like a BU person who will be taking the an interview, and he will be asking like execution of the code and what are the things that you have used, and basically whatever you have learned in the internship, and he will be testing on those kind of areas. So make sure that you kind of do the project yourself, to avoid from being uh, kind of in a troubling situation when you are being interviewed. So that would create a bad impression. So make sure you don't do that. You be well prepared for that. So Ritik, got to work on data, something like that. Data analyst have database tech assigned to me. Okay, great, great. I think data analytics and other things are coming up. There are like openings in most of the projects, I would say, and they are looking for people to uh, uh, interns maybe. Mostly they would take interns as into the projects soon. So I have two offers, one in TCS Digital and second is in Cognizant Next. Okay, I have thought which one to choose. Um, so basically, the offers, you don't have to worry about the entire duration of it. So you won't these service-based companies, you would never know that which project you will be put on or which technology you will be working on. So it depends on it basically depends on your if someone is, if CTS is near you, or there can be a location where which you can easily go to, or you can, that depends on those kind of factors. Other than that, both will be similar. I know both. Both companies are service-based companies. If you compare with Zoho, or if you compare with Microsoft and other product-based, huge product-based companies, then you might have some difference in execution of your project and roles and other things. But when it comes to service-based companies, entire company is the same. What you'll be doing in CDS, you'll be doing in TCS. What you'll be doing there will be done in Accenture, Infosys, everywhere. Everywhere is the same. So no, basically you can decide with the package for now, if you want to. That is your best bet as of now. But if you don't like it, then you can definitely move away from. You can move to other companies. So I think CTS doesn't have any bond to constrain you with, but TCS I'm not sure. But there's no bond in CTS for sure. So learning Teradata, PySpark, Cloud, AWS. I'm still learning this PySpark thing, which I started last year. Last year March I started with PySpark. Then started the freelancing, and then it went off. I never touched PySpark after that. Again, I did something with PySpark, which we tried with some SQL part. But still, those technologies are being used in only a small number of projects. So when you take it a larger scale, maybe there are 1,000 projects, and you will have like 50 to 60 projects which implement AWS, which most people use. But the PySpark and other things, those things come only when you have huge number of data, millions and millions of data. That is when the PySpark or data analytics or big data comes into picture. So most companies don't have that. Most clients of any service based company doesn't have huge number of data in that scale. There are a handful of companies have that, but you have like a few number of projects. So make sure you kind of train yourself in those areas as well. But it really depends on the project requirement, in which you are deployed in. So make sure you learn the skills in your leisure, so that it kind of helps you when you search for a new project once your project date ends. So that would be my advice for those domains. So Karthik, after internship, Cognizant will terminate anyone, or anyone will get FT. So everyone will get FT. So to that, I'm not sure. Like termination has happened in our in our batch. Let's say I know it is the worst scenario. Like it is the really worst case. But most probably they won't go to that. Since they need people to work, and they would again retrain you. Maybe I have spoken to a couple of people during my internship. They were full-time employees, but they still lack some skills. So they study, they kind of learn with us in a different batch. So that was the case last year. So it might be the case for you guys as well. So if you don't perform well in your internship, then they have to retrain you for some time, and then they have to retrain you, and then they have to deploy to your project. So that would be the most likely case uh, for your they won't terminate easily. So that you can be sure of. So everyone will get it, but it takes a lot of time, and we are not sure of what is the kind of process they run into pick people. And last year was pretty random, and not sure like what be like this year. At least they would be little transparent to us on what is the criteria that they have for picking people upfront. So that might really help. So moving on, Vibin, will there be any consequence if we are ICT? So you have to take it up again. So that will be the only consequence that you will have. But it is better that you clear it in the first attempt, and you will get help from a lot of people from your cohort or other cohorts. So you can definitely complete that. You might not have any problem with the ICT once you clear the other coding assessment and other things. You would probably easily clear the ICT. So it is nothing like you just go there, and the similar questions would be there. Similar problems would be there, but there will be like a little different or little difficult maybe. But the base would be the same. You can at least implement the base part and leave out the remaining. So you will at least get that pass criteria. So that is how you can look at, if you don't clear ICT, that is how you look at things. So actually my internship is all about the technology which I mentioned above. Okay. So you work on data analytics, right? Yeah. Cool. I think then you have a good chance when you go even out, right? So there are like tons of people who know .NET, and a lot of people know Java, Spring Boot, and you'll like be the standout people, standout candidate when you go for some big companies. When you go for some kind of interview, or if you want to switch, then there would be a pretty good chance that you would be. But the only problem is that people, companies like maybe Amazon or Flipkart or Twitter, those companies don't exactly, or pretty much don't recruit people from service based companies, but there are vacancies. There are people working there, but it is difficult from a service based company to move to in data analytics part, since they don't know that the entire business of it. So it might be difficult to get into those companies once you get into data analytics part. That you have to overcome in some way. So will we get projects on the same technology on which we were working, going to train? Yeah, of course. If you trained in Java and if you are given a project in .NET, would you be able to match up with the people who are there? No, right? So you will get the same technology which you have trained in. So I'll be completing my internship by mid August. Please don't say that. So business requirement is the first criteria, and last time it was pretty random, as I said. And another influencing factor was the completion of your degree certificates and whether you have completed your courses or not. There was people who from deemed universities were the first one to get into Cognizant, full time FTE. So that is the first full time employment that people got. Last time, since other colleges didn't give us the degree certification, and deemed universities already have, they have completed all the courses, and just their final year project was left out for them. So they just have completed that, and they got the certificate, and they got the FTE. So that was the criteria last year. But this year, I'm sure that they might have changed it. So you have Gen Z and Gen Z Next, and there are a lot of other different kind of categories hiring that is going to take place maybe next year for the people who are coming up next year maybe. And they have planned to even take people in the third year, the fifth semester or sixth semester. So that even though those things are coming up, there might be different cases of people, but I'm sure that the Gen Z Next people will be the first to get in, since they are the priority for them. But last year we didn't have those things. But it really depends on not only on business requirement, but various factors. But try to score the maximum that you get. In whatever code challenge you have, try to give your best. So that even if it is delayed, right? You can cope up with people. But the only thing is that they would get they would get their paycheck, then you won't be. That is the only difference that I see. I know someone from my cohort joined Cognizant on 2020 June, and I joined on December. So that was the gap between me and the one who got the who studied in deemed university, who got the certifications earlier. So that I could see only those difference. But people got even into and even in my cohort, people got into Cognizant full time role. Even at June, I guess. Sorry, not on June. I got October, maybe October or November. So it was like 3 to 4 months of gap between the one who got into first and then the remaining. So you would most probably get that, but it will take some time. But in the meanwhile, you can develop few skills on your own. That would be really helpful. So that was the thing that I was doing on in the meanwhile. So you can also do the same once you get into the projects. Then you can try to find out good projects, and you can just try to move in. So that would be really easy for you guys. Okay, Manigandan. So, bro, for which language will be a higher preference for getting into IT? It really depends on various factors, but you try to stick with doesn't belong to a language though. You can study the structure of the entire programming. So let's say you have the OOPS concept, right? So it won't change from Python to Java. You have the same class. The objects will be the same. They will be called differently, but they won't be. Their pattern and their design pattern maybe, and those things will be pretty much the same. So if you want to preferred language, I would say Python as of now. but only for a few companies. So only few companies use Python for like their entire process, but for other things they use .NET or Java from CTS perspective. But if you want to get into particular role in Python, maybe then there could be a difference. So there is Rust coming up, there is Kotlin coming up, and there will be like a lot of languages coming up. But make sure that you have the base right, and you start preparing. Python, I would say the best choice as of now. 2021 Python is the great choice, and you can move into data analytics or a data engineer role or data science. So that those roles definitely need Python, and no language can replace Python as a whole. JavaScript is doing in some cases, in prediction, when you connect with the web application and you have to show the users some predictions. The JavaScript is doing some work. TensorFlow has given support to that as well. So, but Python won't be in that perspective, those fields, Python would be the king for many years to come. So you can definitely use Python. You can just start learning Python for sure. So I am planning my schedule for the coming year, where it will be working for a company, and my target is to switch to product-based company. Great man. I am planning to study DS and Algo and CP rigorously. Will it work? So once you have some experience, right? You won't be asked with for the most part. Data structures and algorithms is the key thing that people ask, but they don't really work on that. I have asked a lot of people from Adobe. I have asked people from Microsoft, even Google. They never used data structures and algorithms after their interview clearance. They never touch that. Nobody cares about that once you are in, and nobody gives you a problem to solve with data structure and algorithms. But if you want to get into those companies, and once you get experience, right, you need certain skill set. Not just data structures and algorithms will give you the edge. So once you are getting experience, you need to focus on a particular job role. It is not like Cognizant where you are thrown into some project and you start working on that. Once you are going out, you need to pick up each and every role on yourself. Like this Python role, Python data engineer, or scale up a data engineer. Those are the particular, they will nail down the role and the requirements. So you can just go to LinkedIn jobs and you can see what kind of requirement that they ask. Data structure algorithms, or like for the freshers, they don't know what to ask them, so they ask the data structure algorithms. You got it? So that is the problem with, once you get experience, you need to show the expertise in something. So that just go to some website, JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, or any company that you want to join. You just go to their job page, whichever job portal that they have. Just go and see the job description, what they have. So those are the things that they would be asking you. So they won't drill you with data structure algorithm, but it is better to know the concepts. But it is not like the mandatory thing. I haven't learned any data structure algorithm in particular, but I know just the concepts. I have never implemented the hash map and hash shit that they say. I haven't even tried that. I just stopped with the linked list. So it is up to you to choose from a data structure algorithm. But I would say that once you are experienced, that is the case. You just need to focus on one particular thing, and you just need to be expertise at that. But data structure algorithms, you have to learn it, since companies ask for it. They would ask design patterns then, and they would come up with some new things. When you get some experience, like they would be asking you the architecture part. How do you design this thing? How do you design a WhatsApp, or how I just have some requirements. You will just draw something on whiteboard, and those kind of things. Once you get experience, you will be exposed to those kind of interviews as well. So make sure that you kind of prepare yourself on all of those, so that you don't mess up things. You just go to their careers page, or if you have some alumni who is working on the particular company, you can just text them and ask them if data structure algorithms or the thing that they ask in the interview. They would pretty much say no. since they are position specific and the role specific, you would need to apply for any company when it comes to experience after 1 year or 2 years. You would just need that part. I hope that kind of answers that one. So moving on, Vipin, the XP that we are awarded during internship, will it be used later on? XPs, I don't think so. Even I don't have any access to that exact platform now, so they weren't any useful to me, and I don't think so. It is useful as well. It is just to have a measure of people who are at the top. So even in my cohort, right, there were people in top 10 of India. Okay, I was on 200, 300, and in those kind of areas I was never even getting into I was there are like 30 people, right? So I was just 20 plus, and that was my area. So that was my area for most of the time. So first it was easier once you get the platform and other things, right? There were a lot of bugs in the platform where you have to uh, you know report to them, and they were fixing it, and you lose points in that place as well. But I wouldn't blame the platform or anything, since it happens, right? So you don't have to, it is your responsibility to code the right way, and you don't have to go at that pace. No, I just went, I just completed the entire 2 weeks course in a day. And my spike was, for a week you should complete 90 points, I guess 90 or 50. I just completed 180 or something. So the entire 2 weeks course is completed. It was very basic, and if you just sit in 10 minutes, you can just complete all those coding challenges. That was pretty simple. The only problem was if you execute it multiple number of times, the score that you get goes, it reduces. So once you get the answers right, you just share with the people, and they get the answers in the first attempt, so they get the entire 10 XP. So that is how people uh, you know score more points, maybe at one extent, which I have seen myself. But there is no good use to XP that I have seen. I think I am lucky to data analytics my domain for the internship. If I work in the domain as a full-time and proper command on it, will it help me to crack a product-based company when I'm? So it really depends on your skill, what kind of project you work in, and what kind of tools that they use. If they use Tableau or Power BI, those are the pretty much standard things that they use. That would be you just need to be expert at something. Once you are planning to switch, right, you just need to sell yourself that I am good at it and hire me. So that is the perspective that you have to show to the recruiter or the hiring manager that you are applying for. So that is the really difficult part that you have to do. But make sure that you are good with data analytics or whatever. I don't think you will get trained very well that you would crack a product based company anyway. It really depends on the project that you will be working on. Once the project is good, then you will have a better chance. You will get a better exposure on different things. What a data analyst, what is the exact, there are projects I have seen where they just have the name as data analytics, and they don't do any analytics in the background behind the scenes. They just write some SQL queries, they give the data, and then someone does the part. Now there are people with that place as well. So make sure that you learn things and you execute. Now that would be really helpful. Okay, moving on. Cognizant versus Mindtree, which one to choose? Okay, Mindtree, I guess Cognizant is better. You once you are just check with the role, what kind of role that you are, what they are giving you. If it is a role that you can start working on right away, then you can just choose it. Since Cognizant has, like, they put it like the entire pool, and they pick you from for a project. So that is the kind of thing that happens in Cognizant. But if you want to go role specific, if you have some skills, I have Python skill, I'm very strong at it, and Mindtree has an opening for it, and I have applied for it and I got that, then you can move to Mindtree. So that would be the better choice. Or you can just go with The project is the first thing that you need to pick, when you switch, different companies. So let's say Cognizant, you work in Cognizant for a good, client, and you learn a lot. And the same guy, if you move, I want to move to Microsoft or Google, and you work like a support engineer, or you work on a pretty old stack which you have to convert into something. So that is pretty much awkward to work in like those companies, and there are people who are still working there just for the money that they give. So that is one of the things that they have, like the labor force, at a minimum. They just hire people, they just finish the job, and once they are done with that, they won't have the other skills that they expect for the upcoming year or upcoming projects, and they just fire people. So that is how things happen. So that you have to make sure that you get it right. Cognizant or Accenture. So again, both are service-based companies, and Cognizant, has some clients which Accenture also has. So it is pretty much the same which company that you choose. Uh, that really depends on nothing. Cognizant, just go through their website, and if you can find something which is more useful, or if it is something different, from what Cognizant does, or Accenture is doing something different, so I just want to join there. Just get the feedback of people who are working there, maybe, just to get the feel. But both would be similar in terms of their working and the work experience. Since both are service based companies, it would be pretty much the same. Once you are at least getting out of these service based companies, and you're working for a product based company, then you will feel some difference. At least a very small product based company would help. Instead of picking from these two, you can just pick up some product based companies which is really small, which may be in Bangalore or just in India. Maybe you can just pick out those companies as well. Do they assign project after onboarding, or it is mentioned the FT letter? I know my project domain beforehand, then you won't know the project beforehand. So once you get the full-time employment, then you will be picked up by some project people who are like, they need some people with this kind of domain. So those are the ones they will pick you up. So you won't get anything in your offer letter, or they won't mention anything that you will be working for this project and other things. What would be the in-hand salary for a Gen Z? I think they might have mentioned that clearly on your offer letter. That is the pay that you will be getting. So just reduce maybe 80 to 90,000 from that. If your CTC is 4 lakhs, then cancel out 90 to 80,000, and then you divide it by 12, and that would be your approximate take home pay. That would be the enhanced salary in this case. Okay, let's see if we have any more questions. How many years working for a company should I plan to switch? I would say maybe 1 year or so. You can start, trying to switch maybe after a year. I would suggest, and I will be doing the same. But it depends on your expertise, and even if you can clear it or not. Google has this policy that if you're picked up for an interview, then you won't have the next shot until a year. So you have to wait for a year to again be interviewed. So that kind of if you're familiar, or if you're comfortable with the tech that you're working on, and if you're damn sure that I would clear this interview, then you can just apply for the role that you want, and then you will just clear it. So once you have the confidence that I know this for sure, I'm just good at this one, and I have done a lot of projects, and I know this entirely, and I'm an expert at this. At least not I would not say an expert. At least try to make some good impression with open source projects, and the live projects, if you have, just put it somewhere in the cloud and just show it in the interview or put it in your resume. That could interest people a lot once you apply for it. Just try after a year. I know nothing harm in applying for a lot of jobs. You can definitely do that. Okay. Okay, what will be the salary increment in Cognizant after a year? I think that is also mentioned in your, the letter that you get for the first time. That the letter that you get, right, you will have the pay like you will get 4, and after a year you will get 4.4. So the entire thing will be mentioned in your offer letter, the first one that you get, or maybe after joining internship, you will, after a few months, you will they will roll out that as well. Akash, how did you switch to data engineer role? Okay, so that one was crazy. So I just so the thing that happened is when I was having this call with the on-site team, and there was my manager stating that people are we are just new. We were just two people who were new to the project, and I asked my manager that if there are positions or things that we can work with Python or maybe Django, and he said no. There are on our project we don't use those. We just use .NET, and I just worked there for 3 months. Then I just got a call from another manager for an interview part. There was a need for a Python resource, and we had interviews, and we had three. So that is how I got into this data engineer role. And further things I can just tell you in private. If you wish, you can just text me on LinkedIn or Instagram. Anything is fine. Should I continue learning on DSA or the domain in which I'm working? So just take uh, a look at the job profiles that they have, and as I said, talk with your alumni. If you are at least some might be working on product based companies. If you search on LinkedIn, you would just get it. You just click on some company, and you will know that if, there are three alumni working in this company. So you can just reach out to them and ask them if they specifically ask DSA for their initial I guess the standard procedure is that for freshers they would ask DSA, and once you get experience, right, you would never touch DSA for maybe at least for 5 to 6 years. You'll be just working on some kind of platform tools if you're in service based companies, or if you work in core language part for that would be really helpful when you when you want to implement something that is specific to the problem that they solve in DSA. So there was some problem where you have to find you know the the least difference of two numbers. So which number gives you the least difference, the two numbers which gives you the least difference in I know that you have to solve it with recursion, but I am not sure of the implementation part. I have never touched that. But the only thing is that if there is a scenario which where you have to do some kind of stuff with it, but make sure but mostly you won't get a scenario of that. I have never seen it in my projects which we use data structure algorithms, but we use other stuff. So other stuff, multi-threading, multi-processing, and other high level object oriented stuff, we use it. But I have never seen no algorithm implementation or data structure implementation. Since the entire thing exists already. If you want to do hash map, there is set in Python. If you want to do linked list, and there is a list for in Python. So the implementation is there. You just need to use it to make sure that is done. So I haven't seen any real use case for data structure algorithm, but it is better to know at least the basics. And if the people ask you that what kind of things that you have learned, then you can just go with that. salary incrementation after 2 years and 3 years. That really depends on what kind of grade that you are in. uh, Once you move to PA, then you will have a different grade, and once you perform well in that, then you might be promoted to associate, where you will have a different pay. And that really depends on the grade that you might push in. So you will have like an assessment for a year. After a year you will have an assessment, so you will be ranked based on that. Once you are in some kind of level, you will be just promoted to the next one. So that is how things work. Moving on, my FT offer, they have mentioned annual total compensation as 3.9. That be answer it, or I have to reduce. So there would be like the reduction part. I think it would be in the second annexure B, I guess. They would have splitted, different things. This is for HSA, this is for your basic pay and other things. So just add that 3.9. I guess you have to minus 80 from that, 80 or 90, and then you have to divide by 12 to get the enhanced salary. That would be the most case. So let's see. Scope for Spring Boot, I guess there are a lot of companies hiring for Spring Boot. When I started applying for different companies, right? So I have seen a lot of openings on PayPal with Java and Spring Boot. I never expected that. Even in JP Morgan they need people with .NET. I was really surprised to see they need people with .NET in JP Morgan. So there are companies which still use this old, I wouldn't say old, but the things people are expert at. So there are like Spring Boot has been here for a while and people are expert at it. So they are pretty much familiar with writing code with Spring Boot and deploying their applications using Spring Boot. So that is the comfort zone they are in. But there might be a shift, but make sure that you learn other frameworks to at least the basic part. So when you shift, then you won't have any problem. But there are scopes anyway. You will have scope for entire things, since the older things has to be migrated to let's say if you want to migrate Spring Boot to Spring Boot to Django. Okay, so you just need two skills. One is Spring Boot. You need to understand what kind of what are the methods to convert, what are the endpoints to convert, and how Django works, how Spring Boot works. So you need to have both the skills to do the migration part. So that way, in those kind of places, you need both the skills to work on that. So make sure that you at least learn different skill set, different framework which you haven't learned, so that it helps you a lot. I just learned .NET and I'm familiar with Flask and Django. I've been doing freelance projects on Django part. I'm pretty familiar with that, and .NET I just picked up in the internship part. So if you learn these two, right? So when there is a requirement that you need to migrate, or you need to replicate this thing in Django, then it will be really easy to understand what exactly the .NET code runs and how it executes and other things. Then it would be easy for you to implement in other frameworks. So I have given ICT exam for CSD Cognizant, but I failed in the first attempt. I failed in the second attempt also. Then okay, so on the ICT part, I guess there is only 2 attempts. I have seen most people clearing it in the second attempt. I have seen a different cohort. In my cohort, no one failed in the first one, but in second one, I think mostly everyone would clear that. And make sure that you clear in the that scenario could be hard for you. There might be another what do you call another training session for organized for you. So you don't have to get into those. You just need to clear in the second attempt, then that would be very easy. Share something about Cognizant culture, like timing, pressure. So one thing I would say, you won't have any pressure, at least for the starting part. you wouldn't feel anything, since you're just trainees, and for a year you won't feel anything. You would be just attending few calls, maybe in the morning. It really depends on the project that you are in. If it is in some UK project, you would be having it in evening, or if it is in US, you will have probably at the night time. And if you're working for Cognizant Infra or Cognizant related, then you all have the usual 9 to 7. So that depends on the project, but you won't feel the like the pressure. I wouldn't say there is any pressure, but you can also just learn something additional to make sure that you don't sit in the same place after a year. So make sure that you just do something after your work time. What they teach in the training process and what they asked in assessment are very much different. So they can't ask the same thing what you have learned, right? So that would be like, that is, there is no use in testing you with the same thing that whichever you trained in. So there should be some difference in questions which they said. And ICT would be very difficult, sorry, very different from what they have done. So yeah. How about on-site opportunities at Cognizant? So I think I have mentioned this in my previous one of the videos. I guess I have seen some list where Cognizant ranks at the third for putting Indian employees into US. So I think that in that place we are very comfortable. I would definitely get some on-site opportunities. I think you can just Google it out or Bing it out. You can see different list where you have. I have seen from Forbes. You can just search for some authentic magazines. You can just get the list of what what would be. But I have seen some list where Cognizant ranks at third, so you don't have to worry about the on-site opportunities in Cognizant. Okay, what is the scope for Salesforce domain in Cognizant? So it is not just in Cognizant, I would say. Salesforce is like a SaaS platform where most companies or most clients use it. So for whatever clients that you use Salesforce, you just have scope for that. But you would not be exhausted with Salesforce. It is, I'm not sure like what exactly the process that they have in Salesforce and what exactly you guys do with the domain. You won't be coding anything, you will just use the UI part to make things done, right? So from that perspective, if you're just using a platform, just in case if another clients use some other platform, then you might be in trouble. So but in Cognizant you won't have the problem once you move out of Cognizant, right? So there might be people expecting with different there might be alternative to Salesforce which is doing good, or the client uses that, or their company uses that. So it doesn't stick with just Salesforce domain, but try to be more generic on what you work in. Don't be very specific to Salesforce. Since if you just use your job search and other things will be very narrow, and you cannot just survive with Salesforce thing. So work time 9 to 7, yeah. It was 9 to 6 earlier, and they have just incremented by 1. Since you are working from home, nobody works from home, so at least to, I think there is another company which has done the same, Accenture, I guess. I'm not sure. They have also increased the work time. So yeah, pretty much you have to work for I don't know, 10 hours. So 10 to 9 hours, but depending upon your project you might work even extra. So that depends upon your skill to complete things earlier, or things make things difficult. So they have mailed that all the associates will be joining or called with the office by October this year. So yeah, so October is the thing that I have planned for India. So I don't think we would get to office any sooner than October, or at least by end of this year. We won't never be getting into office places. At least at least for the interns or the new trainees, we will never be going into office areas. People who like business part, they will be going. So yeah. My CSD started last month. They give us SQL Postgres or SQL training for a month. Okay, great. But in office it will be like 9 to 6. Maybe it depends upon the authorities what their decision it is. It is not just for the work from home. It is just to make sure that Cognizant again gains. They're making and trying to push people to again in the growth path, to make sure that they push people again to uh, double digit growth. We are having like a single digit growth as of now year on year, but they are again trying to push it to double digit growth. So that is the extra effort that people are expecting, and the CEO is expecting the same. So that is the change, from 9 to 7. HackerRank test, can you tell me what it is all about? So HackerRank test would be at the first during your internship to choose your domain. I'm not sure you're asking that, or is it something different? In India, according to the labor workforce, current increase. Okay, so there were a few places where this was not implemented. Some places in Kolkata, I guess, some regions in Kolkata and maybe in Gujarat, I guess. Those areas, the local government doesn't allow that. I guess that was the problem. But according to the labor law, I guess that could be the case. But people, we are in pandemic, and most people, even 48 hours of work doesn't put company in good position, so you have to work a little for long. I'm at the end of my internship. Will they suddenly give me a full-time job? I do, you won't get suddenly, but it will take some time to, it will take some time for them to give the full time. They would have some analysis, they would do some analysis part, and they would get back to you. At least it will take 4 to 3 months to get them things rolling out, and things done. Yes, in Kolkata it was not implemented. Yeah. So in Kolkata, if you're in Kolkata, then there's no implementation of that. But in other areas, I guess another place, I'm not sure the name, but I just seen the internal email that I got. There they said other things were other some states refused to pass this thing. So do they fire on basis of the final BU interview? No, I would say they won't fire you with the final BU interview, but you would be once the interviewer says that you are not up to the mark, then you would have another set of training and other things, so that you are good to enter into BU, so that you will have it. So I guess we have covered a lot. We have just 10 more minutes to go. Any final questions? Okay, what is the level of interview? I am in ADM Java. So it would be very easy, I would say. Once you do the project by yourself, and you just have the knowledge, it will be very easy. The basic questions would be asked. You just need to prepare for that, and you will be also given a preparation guide or something to prepare for few of the commonly asked questions. So you won't have any problem answering the interview questions. The only thing that I have seen people face problems is that where they cannot answer questions based on the project that they have done. So people tend to borrow the code from someone, and they just present that it is my code. And if people start asking you or drilling down you on the questions on your project, then it would be really difficult to assess. And that is where the problem arises. So make sure that you don't do that. You just complete the project by yourself. It will be very easy. Okay, Vishal. SQL, where do I practice questions? You might get some SQL in HackerRank. You have HackerRank to practice SQL. I have been doing that. You have the weather observation problem, which is pretty famous in HackerRank. If you go to HackerRank, practice set, and you will find SQL in there. You would find a lot of SQL related questions from hard to a medium, and then you will have some easy ones. Just selecting and putting it out there, so you might have that, and there are a few complex questions as well. Once you complete those things, once you get 3 plus or 4 plus stars, then things start getting difficult. So you can try those if you want to. Okay. I guess Kishore is back after a long time. Hi Kishore. So we are taking this final few questions. Cognizant is planning to overlap stage 3 and stage 4 on the internship with full-time employment. This makes compulsory Okay, I think since it is like they are they are out of time, since there is this is like all most people have not completed internship at the stipulated time. You might have completed in June. This is the right time to have ended the internship, and you might they might have started rolling out the offers in October or September. So that was the case. Since that cannot be done, there might be clubbing things together and putting it on the full time maybe. But once you get the stage 3 and stage 4, that is one when you attain your internship certificate or whatever certificate, that would be like this is the duration that he has worked with us, and you will have this is the duration that he or she has worked, and successfully completed the internship. That is the only thing that you would get. Is there any hacker rank test at the end of the internship for Java? I don't think there is any hacker rank specific test. I'm not sure like who is doing that. Hacker rank, you won't any hacker rank test if they have changed something for this time. I don't think hacker rank would work. They have their own internal platform. Why do they have to go with hacker rank to test things? So if it is so, in that case, if you fail, then there would be difficult. You might have to go to some kind of training, undergo some kind of training. So as I would suggest, try to clear everything in the first attempt, very first attempt. Gather few friends. If you're CSD or internship or anything, just gather few people, sit together and complete. So that is the easiest way if you are not aware of these things. If you're aware of it, go solo. It is very easy, just crack it. So that is the best advice I can give you. I have interview on Monday. I didn't study AWS and Docker part. Can I leave some topics? So do they ask Docker and AWS in your interviews? I'm not sure. If you are trained on those, then they might have some questions, or else I think AWS and Docker is too much for you guys in this stage. If they have trained you, then you might have, then you might definitely learn that, and you might have practiced it earlier. But I don't think for interns they would prefer Docker and AWS. I'm not sure. Are you undergoing training in Docker or AWS? You're implementing something on AWS. In stage 4 it is their basics only. Then you might if there is that is in the then you might have you have to learn those things as well. But in interview part, when it comes to interview, they might have just the basics part, and you can say that I just focused on my Java and Spring Boot rather than focusing on different things. I just started learning it, so that then you might have some edge. Just try to grasp some basics so that you don't if the interviewer asks you it is in stage 4, then why you haven't showed any interest to learn it, so that might be difficult. Doubt if I accept a full time or before joining I get another offer from another company, can I join different? I think you might sign something. You might have some kind of an agreement where you have to sign it. But I don't think you just need to apply for this. You just need to leave the company. You just need 60-month notice period which you have to do to move into other companies. But you can do that once you join Cognizant, right? Even after a month, you can just move. So there is no one stopping you from doing that. But once you move out, right, you don't have any experience, you will be like the fresher. So I don't think they will give you any experience letter for a month or so. Most of them saying that freshers should start with startups companies, but Cognizant is good. Or so one problem with startup is that these particular time the startups are looking for people to work for free, and now if there are good startups which are at a good position, they have some few offices in India, or if you have few offices in US, or some branches, at least there are 1,000 people working in the startup, or at least 500 people working for the startup, then then you can join it. If it is like 50 people or 100 people, then you might feel a pressure that you have to do the entire thing. But you will learn a lot of things when you start with startup companies. You will learn everything, you will be doing everything from scratch. You will write the entire code until deployment, you will be there. So you might learn the entire flow, entire pipeline of it. So you might learn the entire business flow. But the salary would be less, but there are startups which pay a good salary for some good machine learning and image processing. If you want to go in that direction, there are good startups you can look for in LinkedIn jobs. Okay, I think that's it for this live, I guess. um, okay, any more last questions? We would just take one more question and then we will wind up. Okay, we got the question. Then I can join Mindtree instead of Cognizant, right? Yeah, of course you can. You can once you join Cognizant, then you can leave the company, then you can join. But things would be different in Mindtree, since there might be, if you write in your resume that you have some experience 1 month working, then there could be a question, why did you leave Cognizant? If someone gives you another good pay, then you will leave Mindtree. So that there could be questions around that. So make sure you don't add your 1 month of the employment in your resume. But there could be a case and they would easily find out you have worked for Cognizant for a month. That would be really difficult. But there could be a question when you are interviewed, or once you are that would be affecting you in a long time. So now they would ask you, why did you leave this company in a month? And if you say like, I just want to work on something different, or I want to follow my passion, and they would ask you like, if there is a company which is paying more than us and you are passionate in their technology, then you would move out of our company. So there could be questions in your interview with that kind. So make sure that you fix your mind in one company, or at least you need to work for a year or 6 months at least to switch companies. Okay, that is up to you to choose what is best for you. This is the real-time scenario that you would be facing, and most people will ask that once you put it in your resume, why you switched in a month. So once you get into Mindtree, then there won't be any problem. But once you switch from Mindtree, right, after 5 years or 6 years, people are very much interested to see how you started, and they would see if there is any gap. If there isn't, then they would come up with these questions. Why you left Cognizant in a month? So that if you have a very valid reason, then there could be no problem with your interview. But even that is difficult when you answer those kind of questions. So I guess that's it for this live. If you have further more questions, I think you can leave it on LinkedIn. I think that would be fine. I can just post something. Okay, I think I think I have shared the links. You might have got it in the chat. Okay guys, see you then. We'll connect again on next Saturday or maybe Sunday, I guess. Whenever we have some time, we'll just have a quick call. Okay, we'll just have this live weekly, maybe. Not sure, like I would be posting it on Wednesdays or Thursdays. I would try though, but Saturdays and Sundays are fine. So we'll see you on the next week. Thanks a lot for joining, guys.